This is the Asia Hollywood Greenlight podcast, episode number 50.
And rolling sound. Quiet.
Here we go. Ready.
Speeding. 120, take 7.
And action.
This is Caryn McCann, the host of the Asia Hollywood Greenlight podcast, a podcast about creating and distributing content for both Hollywood and Asia. To show your support, please subscribe, leave a rating, or share this podcast on social media so more people can discover this podcast. The more we grow the community, the more we can collaborate. Any links mentioned in the podcast can be found in the show notes at the Asia list, where Hollywood and Asia meet. Just go to https://CHNLIST.com and go to the podcast blog page and look for this episode, which is number 50. Before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to start out with a motivational quote to encourage our listeners to continue on their path to achieving their own green light. And today's quote is from Max McCann, who wrote The Art of Winning in an Age of Uncertainty. He said, "All failure is failure to adapt. All success is successful adaptation." A quick update on what I'm working on. I am moving closer to attracting a director to an action script of mine. I am also applying to a couple of pitch markets. I am also about finished with the first draft of my latest script, which is a Woman in Peril movie of the week. And I'm thinking my next project, I might dip my toe into a new genre, something completely different. I usually only write action, so this will be a new experience for me. And I'm getting ready for the AFL. Lastly, I am also revising the Asia list. This is my membership website to connect industry pros, producers, creative execs, managers, and agents with writers in Hollywood and Asia. So sign up to be notified of the launch of our new and improved website at https://CHNLIST.com/coming-soon. And now for the main segment. Today's guest is Susan Ferris, who is the CEO of the Bohemia Group, an international management group representing talent across the entertainment landscape. A Boston native with a degree in theater and film from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, Ferris found herself where many others have feared to tread, in the heart of the entertainment industry, Hollywood. After years in the music business, working at labels and for major bands, Bohemia Group began in 1992 in Los Angeles and now have offices and partnerships in New York, London, Berlin, Seoul, Auckland, and Singapore. Branching out into production in 2015, Bohemia Group has a producing arm called Bohemia Group Originals, where the focus is on film and TV. There are now 17 managers that are part of the Bohemia Group, representing more than 500 clients globally, producing films, TV, and web series, and a book about management by Ferris is also on the horizon. So, Susan, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, great. Well, I told the audience a little bit about you, so why don't you just take a minute and tell us about yourself personally and your business?
I started the company in 1992. Back then, it was me and I had a partner who I bought out in 2008. And when we started, it was very small, a couple of bands, a couple of actors, and we just very slowly kept our heads down and continued to grow. And here we are. I mean, that's there's a lot of steps between 1992 and 2022. It's 30 years. This is our 30th year anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Well, to help the audience understand kind of what you do, what are 2 or 3 main tasks you do on a, quote, typical day?
Well, because I have a management company, which is the bulk of what we do here, as well. I have a management company, and we also have a production company. But the management company is really where we're spread out all over the world. And the bulk of what I do, when I start my day, answering emails and prioritizing everything that needs to be prioritized. And then, quite honestly, half the day is spent just putting whatever hat needs to, whatever phone call comes in or email comes in, whatever hat I need to put on my head dealing sometimes with crisis, and sometimes with actors, it's talking an actor off of a ledge, or closing a deal, or so. It really, my day is never typical. Quite honestly, the most typical it is when I get up in the morning. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, normally I ask, how do you find your business partners and how do you find producers? Now, you're focused on besides film and TV production, you also got this huge management company.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'll alter this question a little. How do you find business partners, or how do you find actors who are keen on content with Asian elements?
So, first of all, just actors in general, it's very organic for me. I know you sort of know when you know, but with specifically the Asian market, one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish, which I had already done in the London market and in the New Zealand and the Auckland market and in the Berlin market, was there just was I don't want to, I guess, a gaping hole in more of the independent market when it came to management and production. And so my goal was to really get in there and not just find great Asian talent, because there are some, I mean, that in itself is its own thing, but to also connect my clients who lived here in the United States who have never had that door open to them either.
Right.
So really, that my goal. Go ahead.
Sorry. So do you mean Americans over to Asia and vice versa?
And exactly. Asian Americans who maybe, have never thought, wait a minute, this is part of my culture, and never dawned on me that maybe I could, I speak Mandarin, or I speak Korean, or I speak, and it never dawned on them that actually was an opportunity. And so it's been nice to be able to bridge people coming here and people going there.
So when you're looking for, you've got these great actors in your stable, and do you, obviously, the studios here, so you can help bridge the divide for Asians coming to Hollywood. How do you work with Asian Americans trying to put them in productions over there? Do you need to reach out to studios, or do you just have a network, or you just hear things that are going into production?
A little bit of both. Independent, a lot of independent producers. We have some contacts with some of the studios, but I mean, a bigger studio, obviously, that covers. I'm an independent person, so
right.
I'm really looking more towards independent producers, and I have people. Obviously, as you know, I have people in Korea. I have so. And I'm trying to expand that as well. So I also depend on them to tell me what's going on over there, and what they're looking for, and who wants to come here.
Well, besides covering the globe, what other obstacles what obstacles did you encounter on a past project? How did you overcome it, and what did you learn?
So, interestingly enough, this is an obstacle that I've hit in almost every market.
Okay,
and that's that there's trying to figure out the best way to put it, because things have been done so long a different way.
Right.
It becomes like there becomes that. Well, wait a minute. We do it our way, and we don't want to change. But then there's that sort of they're looking in the Asian market. They're looking to the West, going, well, we don't want to change, but we really want to be a part of your market. And it's like, okay, well, you can't.
Okay.
There has to be a little bit of a compromise here. So one of the obstacles I have found was when I went to Seoul in the last couple of years, and besides having to have somebody sit with me because I don't speak Korean, that's been, that was a little bit of an obstacle, but that wasn't even the biggest obstacle. It was like, well, that's not how we do things. Okay, I'm not asking for everybody to change I don't want to go in somewhere and rebuild how you do things. I want to go in and do what I do and see if we can make it work together. Does that make a little more sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially if actors are used to a certain, I don't know if hierarchy is the right word, or the way things are done in Asia might be different than Hollywood.
It's very different.
Could you
It's very different.
Could you clarify that a little?
It's different in that a lot of management. Management's not a common thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
And that's not just the Asian market. That's in a lot of other markets. People are like, managers, I don't even understand. And so there's a lot of sort of explaining, because we're not agents, and that's a very different ball game. And once there's an understanding of, we work in tandem with either an agency or whoever that we're working with, and that it's added value.
Right.
Then people are like, oh, okay, this is starting to make a little more sense. But a lot of the Asian market, which they're trying to sort of come away from, is they do things like the old studio system, and which has been interesting to sort of deal with, because you have some great actors, and if it's part of the studio system, all of a sudden they're busy, and they're always busy. So it's sort of maneuvering around that has been an interesting situation.
So would you say, like, in some, I remember back when I was in Hong Kong, there was some agents where they basically had the actor sign a contract for decades, maybe, or something
Years.
crazy.
Yeah, but well, and here's the thing: it's it's like they own them. But then the whole studio system, it's like they pay for everything. So then the actor's working, and now they're just getting a piece of a salary, but they're not. Everything else is being paid for. Their rent is getting paid for. Their groceries are getting paid for. Everything is getting paid for. Amazing. So that has been in sort of an interesting, especially with actors wanting to come here, because if they're a part of that, it's like, how available are you?
Right.
Which, sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not, but certainly everybody wants the opportunity, and we've been able to find some great opportunities.
The other challenge to that old studio system, or the Asian system, is that if they're paying the actor who is not working, then that actor basically owes them their soul until they can pay off that.
That's right.
I don't know what they call it, a loan, or what they call that. But yeah,
you know what? I actually don't know.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's very tricky. But speaking,
there's also something else. But I was going to say, there is something else that's also interesting, because where, here in the United States, although every contract has a morals clause.
Yeah,
that's very different. That's very different in the Asian market. And you have to, somebody is gets into trouble. It's not like somebody in the United States getting into trouble as an actor. It's like sometimes that works in their favor. In the Asian market, it's devastating.
Oh, so they could be out of the job and out of a career. Is that what you're saying?
Out of a career. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh. Yeah, that's tough when you're trying to produce a movie, and the big star you signed on has some mischief, and then the next conversation is, now what happens to the movie?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, okay. Speaking of a challenge, if you could magically solve two current problems, what would they be? It could be small, macro, micro.
Two current challenges. Oh, that's tough. Because I respect so much how I would never go into any country and say, the way you do things is, we can't do that anymore.
Right.
And I would never do that. I think that the challenge is I would want more openness.
Right.
So that it wouldn't be sometimes so difficult.
Yes. Is there a second challenge you'd like to solve?
That itself is pretty
That,
good.
that's it. That's it. That's good. Big enough for two. Okay. So what sort of future projects are you hoping to hook your actors up with, or what language, or is it film, TV? Is it English? Is it Korean?
It's everything. It's been one of the things that has been very interesting. As you know, we do a lot of business with Singapore, and so many languages are spoken there, which has been kind of exciting. That opens up more, because we're global. That opens up more doors, not just in the United States. And so that's been a lot of fun, and all the languages I find fascinating. And when we do things in Korea, when we work with the actors in Singapore, when we work with the actors in Germany, wherever, it's getting people to work in any language is I don't think in terms of, well, if it's not English, we can't do it.
Right. Well, especially, all these streamers now are really pushing local language content.
And I have to tell you, because I've been doing this a long time, and one of the things in the very beginning, when I first started, if somebody came to me and they wanted to, and I've always been very global, if there was an accent, it would be, okay, go and get work on your accent reduction. And that was a big thing. And that's not such a big thing anymore. And that's actually very exciting.
Oh, great.
It's like, however you speak, whatever language, it is who you are, and there's more of an acceptance there, and that's been kind of cool to watch.
Well, it's not just the local language content is picking up, but also the, I don't know, AI dubbing or something like Money Heist. I watched that first couple episodes. I'm like, wow, their English is so good. It's like, well, they were speaking Spanish. They just had great dubbers. Here is a trick question. What question did I not ask you that I should have?
I don't know, you pretty much covered this. I appreciate that you didn't ask me. I have to say I appreciate, because I'm not going to, obviously I can't really discuss the way the businesses work in each country.
Right.
But I can tell you that it's very different in every country.
Right.
And how it's handled in every country. And it's even in the Asian markets, it's very different how it's handled in Korea than it is how it's handled in Singapore.
And would you say that managers are still a rare breed in Asia?
Yes, very much so. I would say managers are a rare breed in a lot of other countries.
Huh.
Just because people are still learning and trying to understand the difference between managers and agents, and it's very different.
Right.
So that's and I'd like to think that I'm on the forefront. Well, I know I'm on the forefront.
Yeah, for sure.
Of sort of beating that door down so that there isn't a fear. Because I think that's the other thing. I think people in any, whether it's the Asian market or the European market, there's sort of a fear that, oh, well, you're a manager, you're going to come and you're going to sort of take it over. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case.
No. Well, that's great that you're a pioneer, and it's also you're the first one, and but also it's exciting. But you're also hitting all the challenges, so that's a star on your collar.
Well, and I have to tell you, I don't know if it would be any fun if there weren't any challenges.
Yes, I like that. Now, if you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I would probably tell my younger self to pay closer attention to the foreign markets.
Okay.
Even though I was global back then, I probably would have said to myself, pay a lot more attention there. And I had bought my partner out in 2008. I would have probably told my younger self, do it either sooner or never have partnered up.
Was that 2008, you said?
Yeah. So I started the company with somebody in 1992. Wow. And I probably I would tell my younger self, don't wait till 2008 to buy them out. Do it a lot sooner.
Right, right. Well, there still are challenges dealing with any foreign country. First of all, you've got the time difference, and then there's the
Yes.
language barrier, and then you need to have partners over there that you trust. That means either a lot of Zoom calls or a lot of flights, and now with COVID, that's another problem.
Well, here's what's been interesting, because if you really think about the Zoom thing, before it was Zoom, it was Skype.
Right, right.
But this has always been important to me, in that I may have other people that work for me or partnered up with me in other countries. I do try, and I haven't been to Singapore yet, but I do try to get on the ground there, even if it's just for a few days, so that it's not, so it's a lot more personal, which
Right.
I think that's really important.
Right. And hopefully, the next few film markets, we can all go in person instead
Well,
of.
I have to tell you, I hope, the AFM coming up in November, and already we've got a lot of plans. My production company has a lot of plans to be there, and people are like, I want to go. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, let's just hope they let us, and hope everyone masks up. Now, in conclusion, would you like to share any social media details or website links?
So we're on Instagram and Facebook, and Bohemia has a website, which is just being rebuilt. Part of the Bohemia website, which is not up yet, is an international part where everybody can see who our international clients are and who the Americans are who can work internationally. But Instagram is at Bohemia Group, and Facebook the same. And gosh, I don't even know what all our social media is.
No, well, I'll get there from you and put it in the show notes. Well, Susan, this has been very educational and very entertaining, let me tell you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
And we'll see you at the premiere.
See you at the premiere.
And now for my key points. Today I have 6. Number 1, crisis opportunity. Susan described the independent management production industry as having a gaping hole in the market. Managers are still a rare thing outside America. This is a challenge. For example, you have time differences, finding partners, language barriers, etc. But it's a huge opportunity for a manager to be a global player. Number 2, that's not how we do things. American managers, as mentioned, are rare outside the U.S. Approaching potential partners is tricky. 1, there is the fear factor. Will the American manager try and take our business? Will they push their American business practices on us? Susan is sensitive to this and has no plans to remodel the way a foreign partner operates. You've got to adopt the old 2 + 2 = 5 philosophy. 2 organizations work together to achieve more than they could on their own. Number 3, foreign actors. Many overseas actors are employed literally on the payroll of their talent reps' business. They will get their rent, groceries, etc., basically all their expenses paid for. The challenge is you now deal with the actor's availability, and the actor is on the hook to their local rep. And if they're not working, are they going into debt? If anyone knows the answer to this, please leave a note in the comments. Number 4, moral clause. In America and overseas, an actor will generally have a moral clause in their contract. In America, though, getting into mischief, of course, depending on the level, probably won't end an American actor's career. As we like to say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. At least that's true in Hollywood. In Asia, it's different. Mischief could end an actor's career. So if you've got an Asian client attached to a project and they get into serious mischief, the chances of selling that project in Asia just got a lot harder. So U.S. managers who want to work in the Asian market need to know how to adapt and find the opportunity in every crisis that comes their way. Number 5, Singapore. This is one location Susan highlighted that does a lot of business. This is partly due to the fact that so many languages are spoken there. For example, English, Mandarin, Malay, Tamil, Hokkien, etc. So for managers looking for overseas clients or looking for jobs for their Asian American clients, they should make a point to check out Singapore. Number 6, streamers. Local language content is wildly successful. The old days of a foreign actor working on losing their accent are thankfully coming to an end. Local language content is now the hot seller. Well, that's the show. Producers, managers, agents, creative execs, directors, and sales agents. If you're looking for Asian-themed content or writers, or you are a writer who writes for Hollywood in Asia, sign up to be notified of the launch of our new and improved website, The Asia List, where Hollywood and Asia meet. Just go to https://chnlist.com/coming-soon. You can also tick the link in the show notes. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate your support. Please help us out by rating the show and sharing it on your social channels. And I'll see you at the premiere. Bye.